Uh, it is late afternoon on Sunday, July 5th, 2026. And, if you look at a map of the United States right now, you are seeing just millions upon millions of Americans crammed into airports.
Oh, yeah. Totally gridlocked.
Right. Stuck on highways, packing into transit systems. I mean, it is the final hours of the Independence Day weekend, and everyone is just, well, trying to get home.
And depending on where you actually are, the atmosphere is either helping or, actively fighting that journey.
Yeah, the weather is a bit of a mess today.
It really is. I mean, you've got mild coastal conditions out west, but then there is this absolute sweltering summer heat just parked firmly over the southwest.
Right, it's brutal down there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, intense afternoon thunderstorms are tearing through the central U.S. and the southeast. But then you have this relatively seasonable, calm pocket up in the northeast. It's a massive logistical puzzle playing out in real time across the continent.
It's a chaotic, deeply human migration back to normalcy, really. And that reality is kind of the perfect backdrop for the stack of notes we are looking at today.
Yeah, it sets the stage perfectly.
It does. We are pulling from the 4 p.m. news brief published by the Daily Tech Reader on this exact day, July 5, 2026. And our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the broader theme hiding inside this daily intelligence.
Because it's not just a standard news day.
Exactly. Looking at this data, this isn't just about people going back to work on a Monday. It is a snapshot of a major, massive global pivot. The hype era of AI and the digital revolution. It's officially over. The world is aggressively, almost ruthlessly, shifting toward cold, hard execution. So, okay, let's unpack this. What are all these businesses and workers actually returning to on Monday morning?
Well, they are walking into a fundamentally changed corporate landscape, one that has really settled into a much more demanding kind of normal.
Right.
The central theme dominating business strategy right now is a definitive shift from experimentation to operational execution.
Meaning the playtime is over.
Completely over. Think back to just a few years ago. We saw companies endlessly playing with AI. They're running flashy pilot programs, testing out chatbots.
Basically throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck.
Yes, exactly. But Monday morning in mid-2026, that era is dead. Employers are now hyper-focused on measurable productivity. They do not want to hear about what a large language model might do in 3 years.
No, they want the ROI right now.
Right. They want to see the exact return on investment on their balance sheets today.
Which means enterprise AI is no longer a shiny new toy. It's just standard business infrastructure at this point. It's baked into enterprise software by default.
Yeah, it's just part of the plumbing now.
Exactly. Take AI coding assistants. A couple of years ago, they were a neat trick to help developers write a basic script. Now, they are fundamentally reshaping software engineering.
Absolutely. The human engineer's job has entirely transitioned.
Right, from writing every line of code to basically acting as a high-level editor and architect, while the AI just churns out the boilerplate.
And, it extends way beyond just software development, too. We are seeing multimodal AI and edge AI expanding deeply into physical production environments.
Okay, let's define those for a second, just so we have our terms straight for you listening. Multimodal AI means the system isn't just like reading text anymore.
Right, it's processing everything.
Yeah, it is simultaneously processing audio, video, and sensory data all at once to make decisions. And edge AI.
Edge AI means the processing is happening right there on the device itself.
Instead of the cloud.
Exactly. Whether that's a factory robot arm or a self-driving delivery vehicle, rather than sending data back to some distant server farm in Virginia to be processed, it stays local.
Which saves time.
Right. By keeping it on the edge of the network, you save crucial milliseconds and massive amounts of bandwidth. That is literally what enables real-time, autonomous manufacturing.
It really feels like AI has moved from, the exciting, unpredictable dating phase into the marriage and mortgage phase.
Oh, I love that comparison.
Right. It's so much less about flashy magic tricks and entirely about, well, who is taking out the trash, auditing the spreadsheets, and paying the bills.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. The romance of the impossible has been completely replaced by the necessity of the operational. And you see this operational reality reflected in human resources, too.
Oh, for sure. Hiring has totally shifted.
Yeah, the data shows skills-based hiring is expanding rapidly. Degrees and previous job titles. They matter way less than your demonstrated ability to adapt. Continuous learning is now explicitly the ultimate competitive advantage.
Because the baseline knowledge is handled by the AI.
Exactly. When AI tools are handling the baseline knowledge work, Your value to a company isn't what facts you have memorized, it's how quickly you can learn to pilot the next iteration of the workflow.
And interestingly, despite all this internal disruption, hybrid work patterns like where and when people physically go into the office are remarkably stable. The dust has really settled on the remote work debate.
Yeah, we found an equilibrium there.
But I am going to push back on this execution narrative for a second, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
If AI is truly just standard infrastructure now, like if it's baked into everyone's default software suite, doesn't that mean the window for companies to use it as a unique competitive edge is already closing? I mean, if every company has the exact same AI capabilities, it just becomes a new expensive baseline. Nobody actually has an advantage.
I actually disagree with that premise. What's fascinating here is that the playing field has leveled out in terms of access, but the nature of the competition has simply shifted to the back end.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, it's no longer about just having the technology. It's about how efficiently you run it. Operational reliability and cost efficiency are the new differentiators. As AI integrates into default software, the computational overhead is just astronomical.
Right. It takes a ton of power.
So the companies that win in this environment aren't the ones with the smartest AI anymore. The winners are the ones who can deploy that AI with the lowest error rate, the highest data security, and most importantly, the lowest computational cost per query. It is a brutal execution game.
Wow. And the computational cost per query is where the digital world crashes headfirst into the physical world. Because if AI is ubiquitous infrastructure, it requires literal physical materials to run.
You cannot execute on these digital promises without physical power.
Exactly. Here's where it gets really interesting to me. We have spent like the last 2 decades thinking of the cloud and AI as these invisible, ethereal things floating around. But looking at the energy and tech investments for this quarter, this incredibly advanced, invisible technology is forcing us to pour concrete, build massive power plants, and lay thousands of miles of copper wire.
Like it's the industrial boom of the 1950s all over again.
Yes, it is the great irony of the modern digital age. The more virtual and abstract our work becomes, the heavier our physical footprint gets.
It really is wild. AI infrastructure is currently the leading investment theme globally. It is the single largest enterprise tech investment right now, period.
And you can physically see it happening.
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing a historic wave of domestic construction activity. Companies are building these sprawling data center campuses that span hundreds of acres, right alongside highly complex semiconductor manufacturing facilities. The sheer volume of raw materials, steel, concrete, specialized glass, rare earth metals, it's staggering.
Let's talk about the energy consumption, because that is the ultimate bottleneck here. The numbers for this July weekend show summer electricity demand is spiking.
Spiking hard.
Now, part of that is normal, right? It's July, people are blasting their air conditioners, but utilities aren't just sweating a hot weekend. They are aggressively overhauling their long-term models because of these AI-driven power needs.
Yeah, the math has completely changed for them.
Let's give that some scale for you listening.
Oh.
A standard web search uses a tiny fraction of electricity, but when you ask an AI model to generate an original essay or synthesize a report, it requires exponentially more compute power.
And all those servers running those calculations get incredibly hot.
Extremely hot.
Which means you don't just need electricity to run the chips. You need a colossal amount of electricity and water to cool the facilities. There are estimates showing that generating a handful of complex AI prompts can consume the equivalent of a bottle of fresh water just for cooling purposes.
Just for a few prompts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Multiply that by billions of users and enterprise systems running 24/7, and you begin to understand the sheer physics problem we are facing here.
So, utilities are panicking.
They are pivoting rapidly. I mean, energy policy is now technology policy. To meet this immense, relentless demand, we are seeing a massive resurgence in nuclear energy investment.
Because wind and solar aren't enough.
Wind and solar are great, but data centers cannot afford for the power to dip when the wind stops blowing. They require critical, always-on baseload power, and nuclear provides that carbon-free density. We're also seeing massive deployments of utility-scale battery storage.
But generating the power is only half the battle, right? You still have to move it.
Precisely. And this is the real bottleneck. Massive grid modernization and transmission investments are the unsexy reality behind the AI boom.
The copper wire.
Yeah, you can build a state-of-the-art nuclear plant, but if you do not have the heavy-duty copper transmission lines to carry that wattage to a data center 3 states away, the power is basically useless.
So we are essentially rewiring the country. But we are doing it in a global environment that is highly volatile.
Very volatile.
Because this massive race for physical resources, for uranium, for copper, for advanced semiconductors, it does not happen in a vacuum. It creates intense friction across global markets and international security.
It ripples through everything.
Right. When global markets open on this Monday, July 6th, investors are laser-focused on economic data and earnings expectations. Treasury yields are serving as a major market signal right now. But overall, long-term market sentiment remains cautiously constructive. Capital is actively flowing into productive assets and, crucially, profitable AI companies.
The speculation is out. The execution is in.
Exactly. But they are deploying this capital against a geopolitical backdrop that is incredibly tense, even if it is currently holding stable.
Yeah, military operations between Ukraine and Russia are still ongoing, which obviously continues to stress European energy and agricultural markets.
And NATO is watching that very closely.
Right, NATO is closely monitoring the broader European security architecture. At the same time, Middle East diplomacy remains absolutely vital for global energy stability, which, as we just established, is directly tied to tech growth.
Yeah, look at the geopolitical landscape we are navigating right now, just based on the news from the past month alone.
It's been a busy month.
Seriously, at the end of May, we saw a tentative U.S.-Iran peace agreement regarding the Strait of Hormuz. That is arguably the most critical maritime artery for global energy shipping.
Essential for the oil markets.
Right. Then, a few days later, federal authorities uncover a massive 2,000-foot drug tunnel connecting Mexico to the U.S., highlighting just how porous and complex land borders remain. And then, Florida becomes the first state to literally sue OpenAI over ChatGPT safety failures.
Yeah, that lawsuit is fascinating.
It is. And these aren't isolated events. They are all stress points on the exact same global supply chain. It feels like we are building a trillion-dollar house of cards. If one state lawsuit or one disrupted shipping lane can derail this entire global rollout, how fragile is this boom?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not a house of cards, but it is a highly sensitive ecosystem. What you are seeing is the friction of governments actively trying to balance hypergrowth with national sovereignty and security.
Right.
The Florida lawsuit against OpenAI is a prime example of this. It represents the legal and regulatory framework desperately trying to catch up to the reality of the technology. It's society demanding guardrails on an engine that is already running at top speed.
Meanwhile, the peace talks regarding the Strait of Hormuz prove that no matter how advanced our digital algorithms get, our entire economy still relies on massive steel ships safely moving oil and components through narrow bodies of water.
Exactly. Advanced technology competition is fundamentally shaping global strategy now, and the commodity markets reflect this balancing act perfectly right now.
How so?
Well, Bitcoin is hovering near its recent trading ranges, acting as a sort of digital temperature check for risk appetite, while gold continues to hold strong, reflecting the underlying geopolitical caution. Investors are basically placing bets on the future while buying insurance against the present.
And the immediate present is fraught with digital threats, too. The intelligence briefing specifically calls out cybersecurity teams bracing for the post-holiday return.
Oh, Mondays after a long weekend are a nightmare for IT.
Truly. They're specifically dealing with healthcare cybersecurity priorities and the broader need for supply chain resilience. Systems have been unmonitored or lightly staffed for days.
And the attack surface has never been larger. The more we rely on AI to manage our power grids, our hospital triage systems, and our shipping routes, the more catastrophic a breach becomes.
It's not just stolen passwords anymore.
No, cybersecurity is no longer just an IT department headache. It is the front line of national defense. The digital and physical worlds are completely intertwined now. You hack a data center, you might shut down the water purification system for a mid-sized city.
That is terrifying. But okay, let's pull the lens back from global geopolitics and massive infrastructure. Let's bring this down to the micro view. So what does this all mean? How is all of this top-down infrastructure actually showing up in your daily life, in your health, and in your entertainment?
Well, if you look at the science and health data, the pace of discovery is breathtaking. AI is actively accelerating drug development, moving molecules from the simulation phase to clinical trials in a fraction of the historical time.
And diagnostics, right?
Yeah, AI-assisted diagnostics are getting much broader adoption. This isn't just about faster X-ray readings anymore. This is supporting true precision medicine and genomics.
The scale of scientific ambition right now is staggering.
It really is. There is steady, measurable momentum in fusion energy research. Quantum computing is hitting new benchmarks. Material science is synthesizing compounds that didn't even exist a decade ago.
And out in space, NASA is pushing forward with the Artemis missions, establishing that long-term lunar presence, while planning for human Mars exploration actively continues. But wait, how does the AI execution phase directly tie into us going to Mars?
It comes down to cognitive bandwidth.
Okay, explain that.
When AI operational efficiency takes over the routine analysis, when the algorithms are crunching the orbital mechanics, managing the supply logistics, and simulating the thermal dynamics of a spacecraft, it frees up the human scientists and engineers.
To do the creative problem solving.
Exactly, to focus entirely on the breakthrough ideas. The fundamental leaps in physics and engineering require human intuition. AI handles the brute force computation so human genius can actually scale.
That makes total sense. But then you look at the culture section of today's news stack and you see this brilliant, fascinating contrast. We have quantum computers and we are planning lunar colonies, but what is dominating global attention right now? The World Cup.
The most visceral, traditional human sports story imaginable.
Right. We've got the summer movie season in full swing, intense streaming competition, and independent creators and podcasts maintaining incredibly strong audiences.
Even there, though, the technology is creeping in. I mean, AI is heavily influencing creative work, from script analysis to music production. The tools are everywhere.
So we are living in this bizarre juxtaposition. We're obsessively watching a deeply human, historically rich, totally unscripted event like a soccer match, while simultaneously listening to top 40 music produced by AI algorithms, all while our governments fight over the copper wiring and nuclear power grids needed to sustain the whole illusion.
It's quite a picture.
Why is the World Cup the counterweight to an AI-driven society?
This raises an important question about the human condition in 2026. How do you balance tradition and innovation? The macro world, the governments, the corporate boardrooms, the utility companies, they are entirely focused on operational efficiency. They want predictability, optimization, and zero errors.
But the cultural world is the opposite.
Exactly. The micro level of our daily lives highlights this enduring human desire for community, for entertainment, and for raw, unscripted drama.
Because humans actually love error. We love the drama of a missed penalty kick or a brilliant, unexpected play. AI hates error.
That's a perfect way to put it. We are using the most advanced error-averse technology in human history to generate more time and resources so that we can ultimately just experience more of our messy humanity.
Wow.
We want the AI to write the boilerplate code, manage the logistics supply chain, and diagnose the x-rays, precisely so we can go sit in a crowded stadium and cheer for our team. Traditional media and museums are adapting to survive by expanding their digital experiences, but the core human craving for shared connection remains entirely unchanged.
We are building the ultimate automated machine, so we have more time to step away from it.
That is the hope, at least.
As we wrap up this deep dive, if there is one core takeaway from this July 5th news stack, it is that mid-2026 is defined by a remarkable, almost stubborn consistency.
Consistency is a good word for it.
We have officially moved past the wild speculation phase of the digital revolution. From your hybrid work schedule on Monday morning to the massive nuclear power investments being mapped out by your local utility to the tense geopolitics securing our supply chains, everything is now about executing and sustaining the next generation of economic growth. The hype is dead. The real work has begun.
And it requires immense patience, staggering amounts of capital, and a lot of raw physical labor. But the structure of the next decade is visibly taking shape around us.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with, something that builds on this central idea of AI becoming standard infrastructure. If AI truly becomes as ubiquitous and reliable as the electricity running through the walls of your office or the plumbing in your house, what happens when we stop noticing it? The history of human progress shows that once a miracle becomes infrastructure, we immediately get bored with it. We just expect it to work, and we start looking for the next impossible thing. So as you head back to work this week, as you sit in that holiday traffic and think about the Monday ahead, ask yourself, when AI is just a boring utility that you don't even think about anymore, what on earth is going to be the next frontier that captures our imagination? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the world around you, keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.